Good morning, I'm Angela Lagunzad Castro. It is Thursday, the 21st of August, bringing you Morning Matters because your mornings matter. Let's get to the stories that matter today. Allegations of massive corruption in flood control projects have surfaced, with Senator Ping Lacson detailing a system of plunder involving billions in ghost projects and kickbacks. Meanwhile, President Bongbong Marcos voiced anger over a non-existent 55 million river wall in Baliwag, Bulacan.
Walang ginawa kahit isang araw hindi nagtrabaho. Wala kang makita puntahan ito. I'm getting very angry.
Now, looks like Mayor Benjamin Magalong knew that jab from Representative Richard Gomez was for him. The Baguio City Mayor said he was disappointed to hear something like that from someone who was once a friend. Recall that Gomez slammed an unnamed mayor accusing him of posturing as clean while criticizing congressmen. In other news, the United States has formally requested the Philippines to extradite Apollo Kibuloy, who faces charges of sex and labor trafficking. Philippine Ambassador to Washington, Jose Manuel Romualdez, confirmed the request was transmitted to the Department of Justice last June. Now, welcome to our program, Morning Matters, where we talk about the issues you need to know for the rest of your day. Now, first on the agenda, Senator Ping Lacson has bared what he calls systematic plunder in flood management programs, exposing billions lost to ghost projects and kickbacks. Here's the report.
For ordinary Filipinos, every flood drowns not just their homes, but their lives and livelihoods. But for some, every surge of floodwaters becomes an opportunity to pocket millions from government coffers. A shocking revelation and a staggering expose on corruption unveiled by Senator Ping Lacson. A long list of ghost flood control projects funded by government, yet with no trace of actual construction.
Halos pare-pareho ang pattern kung paano minamasaker ng mga kawatan ang pondo ng bayan. May ilan pa ngang proyekto, hindi man lang nagtira para sa taong bayan. Ang tawag ng Pangulong Marcos dito, guni-guni o ghost projects.
According to Lacson, corruption is systematic, carefully divided among key players. This is how taxpayers' money is safe off. For example, a project worth 100 million pesos. After taxes and insurance, only 82 million remains. 8 to 10% goes as kickback to the DPWH district engineer, 5 to 6% to the Bids and Awards Committee, up to 1% to a commission and audit official, and up to 6% as a so-called parking fee or royalty for the politician controlling the district. When the cuts are done, only 35 to 40 million is left for the actual project.
20 to 25% ang karaniwang napupunta sa funder o project proponent na politiko. Ang matitirang pondo para sa pagpapatayo ng proyekto ay napakaswerte ng umabot sa 40%.
Lacson's team inspected questionable projects on the ground. In Arayat, Pampanga, the same dike has been repeatedly funded and repeatedly damaged. In La Union, the Mawang River Basin Flood Management Program ballooned to nearly 1 billion pesos under the 2024 budget, despite being allocated just 100 million in the National Expenditure Program. In Oriental Mindoro, a congressman allegedly took ownership of a project using unprogrammed funds. The lawmaker in question was 1st District Representative Arnan Panaligan.
Masalimuot ang proseso ng paggamit ng unprogrammed appropriations under the Special Purpose Fund. Ano kaya ang taglay na agimat ni Congressman?
But Lacson said Bulacan is the most notorious for kickbacks in flood control. In Malolos, one project built back in 2018 was still funded again in 2021, 2023, and 2024. Another was rebuilt in 2023 but with substandard.
Paulit-ulit ang pagpopondo kahit gawa na. Bagong style ito, Mr. President. Ilan pa kayang flood control projects ang ganito?
Lacson also named former district engineers Henry Alcantara and Bryce Hernandez, who he claimed valued money more than public service.
Sa District Engineering Office na ito, sa ilalim ng pamumuno ng dalawang nabanggit na opisyal, para sa taong 2024, 28 proyekto ang pare-pareho ang pondo kahit magkakaiba ang specs, disenyo at haba. Ang isa sa kanila ay nakakapagpatalo ng daang milyon sa isang kasino dito sa Metro Manila.
In Hagonoy, another scheme emerged, the so-called distinct budget, identical project cost, different projects, like a 77.9 million peso riverbank protection structure, priced exactly the same as another flood control project under the same contractor, Darcy and Anna Builders. Projects that vanished like ghosts. And not just the projects, sometimes even the contractors. Lacson's team went to the registered addresses of these firms, only to find a gym and an e-payment store instead. Another contractor, Wawa Builders, was tagged for a ghost project in Barangay San Nicolas.
Sa historical imagery ng lugar na walang nabago simula pa noong 2017. So, anong tinayo ng Wawa Builders noong 2023? Eh di wala. Wow na wow ang wawaw.
Lacson said he is ready to submit evidence to back up all his revelations.
Now, Public Works Secretary Manny Bonoan says he continues to enjoy the trust of President Marcos. On the big story, he dismissed rumors that he will soon be replaced by former DPWH Chief Rogelio Singson. Bonoan said the president has even ordered him to push through with investigations into questionable projects. He added that his talks with the president on flood control projects have been ongoing since before the SONA.
We have been talking actually about some of these projects, especially those that are being inserted in the General Appropriations Act with the President actually po. Even before the SONA. And then I think these were already, this was included in the SONA of the President. And then he instructed us actually to verify this project. And right away, we dispatched our people to validate po yung mga lahat ng projects and fields.
Meanwhile, President Bongbong Marcos expressed not just dismay, but anger over a 55 billion river wall in Baliwag, Bulacan, which he found to be a ghost project. Here's the report.
President Bongbong Marcos visited Baliwag, Bulacan to inspect a river wall project meant to prevent flooding in the area. What he found, however, left him visibly frustrated. The site was bare, no hollow blocks had been laid, and only a few steel bars were scattered around. The project, with a reported budget of 55 million pesos and a planned length of 220 meters, was supposed to start months ago. Yet, as of August, construction had not even begun. The president called it a clear case of a ghost project.
Pero wala talaga, 220 meters, 55 million, completed ang record ng Public Works. Walang ginawa, kahit isang araw hindi nagtrabaho, wala. Wala kang makita, puntahan ninyo, wala kayong makita kahit na ano. Tuloy-tuloy ang pagbaha doon sa kabila. No, I'm not disappointed, I'm angry.
The contractor behind the project is Sims Construction Trading. They reportedly have 14 flood control projects in Bulacan with a total value of nearly 1 billion pesos. President Marcos has already ordered the blacklisting of Sims Trading. Meanwhile, the Department of Public Works and Highways will conduct a full audit to identify those responsible.
We will have to do yung physical and financial audit, and i-document na po namin lahat, and whoever has been involved in that particular project, we will file the corresponding cases.
The Bureau of Internal Revenue is ready to assist in reviewing tax compliance for the project.
Nakasubaybay tayo sa lahat ng mga ginagawang investigasyon at hihingi rin tayo ng mga dokumento patungkol dyan sa mga proyekto na yan at para makita natin talaga at mabusisi kung kamusta ba ang naging tax compliance ng mga contractors ito sa mga proyekto.
Authorities warned that anyone found involved in these anomalous projects could face charges under anti-graft laws and for malversation of public funds.
Vice President Sara Duterte downplayed President Bongbong Marcos's current push to probe anomalies in flood control projects. Speaking to the Filipino community in Paris on Monday during a brief visit, the Vice President said the investigation should not only focus on airing contractors but also on members of the House, particularly the President's allies, whom she accused of controlling the nation's coffers.
Mga contractors ay mga tauhan din sila ng mga members of the House of Representatives. 2 tao lang ang nagde-decide sa budget ng Pilipinas. Yun ay si Martin Romualdez at si Zaldico. At yung mga kasamahan nila o mga grupo nila, kasama din nila yon sa paghati-hati noong budget ng Pilipinas.
Duterte further claimed that the president is using the anti-corruption drive to cover up his own lapses.
Nabanggit namin yon kay BBM na ganun ang ginawa, pero noon ay wala siyang reaction. Tapos bigla ngayon, meron na siyang reaction. Paniwala ko, pinaghahandaan niya lang yung excuse niya para sa susunod na baha.
Now, don't go away. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. Oriental Mindoro Representative Arnan Panaligan has denied any role in anomalous flood control projects. Panaligan said the projects in Nauhan and other towns were identified and implemented by the DPWH and were already included in the National Expenditure Program before reaching Congress. He insisted that while lawmakers approve the budget, they have no part in designing, bidding, or implementing national projects. Contractors, he added, were handled by DPWH regional and national offices, not from Mindoro. This came after Senator Ping Lacson linked him to projects supposedly funded through unprogrammed appropriations. Now let's talk more about that with Congressman Panaligan himself joining us over the phone. Magandang umaga po sa inyo, Kong. Thanks for joining me.
Magandang umaga sa iyo, Miss Angela, no? And good morning also to your viewers and listeners.
All right, Kong, Senator Lacson showed your accomplishment report with flood control projects in his privileged speech yesterday in the Senate. And if you had no hand in it, why were they highlighted in your report po?
Well, all government projects are included in our accomplishment report because those are public funds. So we really include all accomplishment projects of the government in our progress report, our monitoring report. But it doesn't mean that we are involved in the funding, in the implementing of that of those projects.
But ang isa pa pong nakikita kasi dito, Kong, yung sinasabi nilang banners or tarpaulins na nandoon po yung not necessarily yung pangalan po ninyo, but yung slogan po, no, yung Agila.
Yes,
can you confirm po na itong Agila represents you?
No, yun ay isa parang governance slogan or branding. Agila stands for aksyon ng gobyerno at inisyatibo sa larangang legislatura. So, pinapakita nga noon na yung mga projects na yan ay government projects, at funded ng gobyerno. Wala tayong mukha ron, wala tayong pangalan doon kasi alam na natin na bawal yun. Meron tayong anti-EPAL law, no? Pero parang yun ay branding to inform the people precisely the government project yun, Doon na pupunta ang kanila mga taxes. But of course, hindi naman natin alam na later ay meron pa ng problema. Magkakaroon pa ng problema yung mga projects na yun.
Okay. Meron po kasi isa sa mga interviews po ninyo, sinabi niyo po that you actually wrote to DPWH noong pong July 2024. Ano po nilalaman itong letter po ninyo? Can you elaborate that on us?
Yes, kasi nga, ang naglagay ng pondo dyan sa National Expenditure Program ay ang DPWH. Sila nag-identify kung saan ang location ng project at amount. Sila nag-bidding at nag-implement yan. Sila nag-award sa contractor. So, wina-welcome natin yan kasi yung aming province na ay flood prone, yung Oriental Mindoro. Ang presidente mismo ang nagsabi na yung province namin ay number 8 or number 9 na flood prone. So, wina-welcome natin yung project na ganyan. Pero, noong 2024, after a typhoon, ay may nasira na portion. One of the projects ay nasira. So, kaagad tayong sumulat sa secretary ng DPWH precisely to inform them sa problema at tayo ay nanawagan na i-review nila, i-reassess yung structural design at tiyakin na nagko-conform sa strict standards and design para hindi nga masayang ang public funds. So, doon pa lamang talagang pinakita na natin na we are not involved in the project implementation at gusto natin ay maganda, maayos sa pagkakagawa.
Opo. Pero what was the response of DPWH to your letter?
It was referred, of course, by the Secretary to the Regional Office kasi ang Regional Office ang implementing agency. At sabi naman sa akin ay kanilang i-repair, ano? Alam ko, may nag-repair nga sila. At inassured ako na yung mga future projects nila will adhere to rigid standards, ano? Stricto. Of course, hindi naman po tayo engineer at ang tanggapan ng Congressman, wala naman tayong engineering department. Kaya talagang we really rely sa representation, sa assurance ng DPWH. Sabi nila, i-repair daw nila yan at ayusin.
Alright. So with all of these accusations po sa inyo or allegations during the report of Senator Panfilo Lacson in his privilege speech yesterday, how confident are you that you'd be able to look straight in the eyes of your constituents and of course the public na wala po kayong kinalaman dito?
Yes, kilala ko ng mga kababayan ko sa Oriental Mindoro. They know me personally, matagal tayo naglilingkod. Never po tayo nadawit sa kanyang mga gulo or scandal. Kilala nila ako. And I can tell them categorically again na wala tayong hand dyan. Kung may hand man tayo dyan, bilang miyembro ng Congress na nag-a-approve ng budget, yun ang ating partisipasyon lang. Kasi lahat naman talaga ng budget ng gobyerno, ina-approve ng Kongreso. Kaya technically, parang pondo nga ng Kongreso yan, pondo ng gobyerno. Pero yung designing, planning, awarding ng programa sa kontraktor, yan po ay wala sa kamay ko, wala sa kamay ng Kongreso, at yan po ay nasa implementing agency sa Executive Department, in this case sa DPWH.
Doon po sa report ni Senator Ping Lacson kahapon, meron po kasi siyang nilagay doon ng mga scheme na nangyayari daw po under these projects. At kasama po doon yung tinatawag na passing through or parking fees. According po sa kanya, similar po ito doon sa mga royalties sa politicians in control of the district where the project is being built. So, have you heard about this? Ano pong alam po natin tungkol dito sa passing through or parking fees na ito na sinasabi?
Naririnig ko yan, pero sa aking personal experience as a congressman, walang kumusap sa akin. Walang kumusap sa akin kahit sino na contractor or taga-DPWH na sila ay maglalagay ng pondo dyan. Nung dumating yung NEP sa amin nung mga nakarang taon, nakalista na specifically yung itemized na yung mga flood control projects. So, nandun na, walang kumusap sa atin. At dahil nga sa tayo ay flood prone, we welcome yung ganun mga proyekto. Dahil for a long time, walang flood control project sa amin, pero kami naman ay flood prone talaga. So nung nandun na yun, tayo nagpasalamat at dumating. But of course, yun nga, justifiable kasi nga ay flood prone, mukhang yung implementation ang nagkaroon ng question, naging questionable.
Alright, and lastly po, sa tingin niyo po ba sino dapat ang managot dito? Sino po ang accountable na nakikita po ninyo if you yourself are saying categorically wala po kayong kinalaman dito?
Well, ang implementing agency should explain, yung contractor siguro. Yung contractor should make the necessary repair sa kanilang ginawang yan, palitan nila or gawin nila yan, patibay nila at no additional cost sa gobyerno kasi yan naman ay may warranty, Ilang taon din ang warranty, bago lang yan. So dapat ay talagang kanilang i-restore, i-repair at patibayin, i-retrofit yung mga tiki na yan na nasira.
Alright, with that, we will continue to get in touch with you regarding this issue. For the meantime, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, Oriental Mindoro Representative Arnan Panaligan. Now, lawmakers at the House of Representatives opened key sessions tackling pressing issues on housing and agriculture. Mobile journalist Arles de los Santos has the report.
Filipinos still lack access to adequate, affordable, and sustainable housing. That is the hook of the inaugural meeting of the 20th Congress's Committee on Housing and Urban Development. In her opening statement, Committee Chairperson Representative Maria Victoria Copilar emphasized the urgent need to ensure every Filipinos live in a safe, inclusive, and climate-resilient communities. She adds that housing and urban development is more than just infrastructure. It's about giving families the foundation to thrive. It can be recalled that in February 2025, the UN Habitat estimates that housing need in the Philippines is projected to increase from 6.5 million to 22 million by 2040. Popular also noted that the Urban Development and Housing Act, or UDHA, needs to be reviewed to ensure it remains responsive to evolving needs of Filipino communities.
At let's face it, ang housing is not only the problem of ISF or informal settlers. Housing ay problema rin ng mga empleyado ng gobyerno, empleyado na nagtatrabaho sa kumpanya na kailangan din ng housing program, ng housing projects na decent and affordable. So, and housing could be vertical and horizontal. So we all want to integrate all those laws and to come up with the National Housing Code of the Philippines that will address the different housing needs of different sectors.
Presumptive cause to the problem is urban migration, made worse by a decline in housing production due to a tedious regulatory and approval procedure, a heavy reliance on private sector investment, and insufficient funding for housing. In the same meeting, a number of priority bills were discussed and approved. On the same day, the House Committee on Agriculture and Food held an organizational meeting and immediately began discussing important bills for the rice industry. Led by its chairperson, Representative Mark Enverga, the Department of Agriculture presented the key challenges of the agri-fishery sector, such as the low productivity, delayed infrastructure development, and weak forward linkages, as well as growing impact of climate-related disasters. The committee also discussed the adverse effect of the enactment of RA 11203, also known as the Rice Tariffication Law, that, as per resource persons, significantly reduced the NFA's role to buffer stocking for emergencies, removing the agency's power in regulating market price and supply stabilization. Representatives from the agriculture sector aired sentiments on the worsening derailment caused by the law.
Simula po nang ipatupad ang Rice Tariffication Law noong February 2019, grabe ang epekto sa mga magsasaka ng palay, industriya ng bigas, at sa partikular, luging-lugi ang magsasaka. Pakinggan po namin si President Marcos, hindi naluluging magsasaka. Fake news, hindi po ito totoo. Kung nabili ng 8 to 10 pesos, kinuwenta po namin, lugi kami ng 28 to 32,000 pesos per hectare.
Accessible housing as well as food sufficiency remains an unsolved puzzle under the Marcos Jr. administration. Both problems that's been passed on from one administration to another that makes living difficult for many Filipinos. Mobile Journal Arles de los Santos, we are One News.
Online gambling transactions nationwide dropped 50% just days after the Bangko Sentral ng Pilipinas ordered the delinking of gambling sites from e-wallets. PAGCOR Chairman Alejandro Tenco confirmed the decline during 2026 budget deliberations before the House Committee on Appropriations. He noted that 60% of online gambling in the country is illegal, while only 40% operates under the 70 licensed operators. Tenco also stressed the stricter regulation is more effective than a total ban, noting that illegal operators will find ways to continue.
Magsimula po nung araw ng Linggo hanggang kahapon ay bumagsak po ng siguro 50% ang online gaming transactions. Magsimula nung iniutos ng Bangko Sentral na mag-delink muna ang mga e-payment platforms na ito sa integration with online gaming companies.
Stay tuned. Morning Matters will be back after a short break. Good morning. I'm Angela Lagunzad Castro, and here on Morning Matters, we talk about the most pressing issues and to give you the context behind the headlines. Baguio City Mayor Benjamin Magalong has responded to what he believes were barbed remarks aimed at him by Leyte Representative Richard Gomez. Magalong said it saddened him recalling that he and Gomez were once friends. Gomez earlier took a swipe at an unnamed mayor whom he accused of posturing as clean while criticizing congressmen. According to Gomez, he wasn't surprised that this mayor had accused lawmakers of corruption, but stressed that if the mayor had issues with one congressman, he should not drag everyone else into it.
Ay sa tingin ko siguro baka ako yung tinutukoy. Kaya nakakalungkot lang. Magkaibigan kami. Kung sanay ka sa dark, sa madilim na lugar, mahirap ka talaga makakita ng maliwanag. Kaya kailangan ko na lang.
Manila 2nd District Representative Rolando Valeriano said lawmakers should not be automatically implicated in anomalies involving flood control projects. In an interview with Sa Totoo Lang, he emphasized that the Department of Public Works and Highways, not congressmen, is responsible for creating the master plan. Valeriano added that a lawmaker can only be linked to wrongdoing if there is sufficient evidence. On another issue, Valeriano said there is no need to wait for a law to begin mandatory drug testing. He challenged Senator Robin Padilla to lead by example and undergo testing along with his entire office, particularly since Padilla's staff were involved in the recent marijuana issue.
I have no problem with that kung ako yung magpapadrug testing. Pero since nang simula naman po yung issue niyan sa opisina niya, bakit hindi subukan niya rin na mag-drug testing yung buong opisina niya?
And to talk more about these issues, we are joined by Manila 2nd District Representative Rolando Valeriano this morning. Good morning, Congressman. Thanks for joining me.
Good morning po, Ma'am Angela. Good morning sa lahat ng nanonood ng Morning Matters.
Opo, Kong, you said nga po, lawmakers should not be automatically implicated in flood control anomalies. Can you clarify why? Ano po ba yung extent na participation and responsibility ng isang congressman pagdating po sa mga ganitong proyekto?
Ganito po, to be honest, yung flood control, as far as the Metro Manila is concerned po, yung flood control po, hindi po talaga alam ng mga congressman kung ano yung talagang pangangailangan. Halimbawa, kung yung drainage na to, itong ilog na to, bubuksan. Yung DPWH po lahat ang naglalagay niya na meron silang master plan sa buong Metro Manila. Nakikita na lamang po namin yan pagdating ng national expenditure, yung NEP na tinatawag. Ngayon, during the last hearing din po ng appropriation doon sa DBM, natanong ko rin po si Secretary Amina, meron ba kayo natanggap na GAB o yung General Appropriation Bill na nanggaling po sa Kongreso? Kasi yung po, saka yung final bill na yung GAA, meron siyang variance eh. May pagkakaiba. So meaning, yung isinabit po namin sa Senado, kaparehas halos nung sa executive version. Pero at any rate po, yung flood control kasi, ini-implement po yan talaga ng DPWH. Sometimes, and most of the time, without our knowledge. Kasi naman, nakikita naman din natin na as far as Metro Manila is concerned, tulad po ng MMDA, meron din silang sariling flood control budget nila. Lahat ng yan po, nakita nyo naman kapag bumagyo, biglang ang MMDA, tunay tinuladang basura na kukuha. Yun po ba kung sakaling makikita natin na meron ding problema sa MMDA, akusahan din natin yung congressman na meron siyang kinalaman. Ang nangyari po na kasi rito, pag tinignan nyo naman yung GAA talaga, meron talagang per district na nakalagay na flood control project. Pero it doesn't necessarily mean na merong involvement yung congressman doon sa flood control na yun. Most of the time nga po, minsan nagugulat na lang kami, bakit merong ganitong flood control project dito na hindi rin naman po sa amin na-inform. Pero to be honest po kasi hindi naman talaga dapat inform din sa amin dahil pang-national naman talaga ang galaw ng Department of Public Works and Highway.
But are you knowledgeable about the kumbaga scheme na pinresent po ni Senator Panfilo Lacson yesterday sa Senate hearing, saying na ito yung extent ng involvement ng congressman, ito yung extent ng involvement ng mga contractors, etc.
Ma'am, if that is true, ma'am, talagang nakakagalit ho yun, yung sinasabi ni Senator sa privilege speech ni Senator Lacson. Pero for us to see, meron din po kami nakasinti na yung TRICOM dito sa Congress at imbestigahan din po namin yan kung may katotohanan din yung privilege speech ni Senator Lacson. Dito lang po sa lugar ko, sa District 2, yung Pubang Sunog Apog Pumping Station. Kung naririnig niyo po na hindi gumana, nagsimula po yun noong 2018. Pero nung natapos ng 2022, tinaturn over nila na September ng 2023 sa MMDA, hindi tinanggap. Hindi po namin alam lahat yun kasi ang usapan po nun between the DPWH and the MMDA. Malalaman lang po namin na defective yan nung bumagyo ng 2024 at bumaha. Siyempre magre-react po kami na bakit ganon, may pumping station, hindi gumagana. That's the time lang naman na ilalabas nila yung mga dokumento, defective yan kasi hindi naman talaga ginagawa. So yung kay Senator Lacson po sa privilege speech niya, if that is true, talagang nakakabahala din po yun at dapat talagang maimbestigahan. At ako nga po willing kami, ako as far as I'm concerned as congressman, kahit merong independent na investigator body na itatag natin para kahit once and for all, masettle po yan at ang taong bayan maniwala doon sa kalalabasan ng investigation talaga.
Yeah. But Cog, why do you think that politicians, specifically congressmen, are being linked to these anomalous project? Kung karamihan po ngayon sa mga congressmen na tinatanong natin ay sinasabing wala namang kaming hand in the flood control projects.
Hindi ko po sinasabi na talagang, kumbaga, lahat ba kaming congressman, walang alam dyan. Sometimes po, baka talagang meron din, kaya rin naliling po, di ba? At halos doon sa narrative ni Senator Ping Lacson, inano naman po niya, inisa-isa na niya. Kaya nga sabi ko sa TRICOM din, siguro this high time na mag-imbestiga tayo at yung pinangalan ng congressman din po, once and for all, it's either you clear your name or talaga namang may problema ka at managot tayo sa taong bayan. Hindi ko po sinabi na walang kinalaman lahat ng congressman. Ang ibig ko lang sabihin, parang hindi naman po sistema yung nangyari na yan. At ako po, to be honest, ngayon ko narinig yung narrative ni Senator Lacson at panonoorin ko po yung investigasyon ng Senate, meron din po sa Congress at sana magkaroon din ng independent na body na mag-iimbestiga para masettle din po yan. Kasi kung mapapansin nyo, laging pag sa district mo nangyari, laging si congressman may kamay dyan, laging ganun po. So, once and for all, masettle po at maklear din naman yung walang kasalanan at managot yung dapat managot.
Pero naniniwala po kayo na maaaring may ibang mga congressman ang involved po dito sa mga ganitong klaseng proyekto?
Maaari po. Kaya nga sabi ko kung totoo yung sinasabi ni Senator Ping Lacson sa privilege speech niya, nakakabahala po yun. At kumbaga hindi talaga magandang ehemplo. Paano ka harap sa mga constituent mo, binabaha. Samantalang yung pala, meron kang kamay kung bakit. Kasi dito po, hindi lang naman gamit yung nawawala, pati buhay Hindi po ba sa flood control. So managot kung dapat managot kung sino man ang may kamay dito. Kung meron man pong congressman na sabit, kung meron man pong senador na may kinalaman dito, the contractor itself at yung DPWH, kung sino man po, dapat managot na. Panahon na po ito, sabi nga nila, parang ito yung makabagong Napoles ngayon.
Alright, so very extensive po yung naging report ni Senator Ping Lacson pagdating po sa budget, pagbaba nitong budget na ito para dun sa mga proyekto. At sinasabi po ng ibang mga congressman, nagkakaroon po kasi ng mga budget insertions pagdating sa small committee. I'm sure you know this din po na sinasabi ni Congressman Toby Tiangco, he's asking for a committee report, yung kung sino po yung miyembro ng small committee. But you, are you knowledgeable kung sino po ba yung nandoon sa small committee nung 2025 national budget?
Hindi ko po matandaan pero kasi binasa naman po, inelect po yun ng Kongreso. So kukunin ko lang po siguro yung minutes of the meeting. Pero masasabi ko rin po sa inyo in the future. Pero ganito po, kaya nga nung nakaraang hearing ng DBM last Monday, sa appropriation, ako po yung nagtanong kay Secretary Amina ng DBM, nakatanggap po ba kayo ng version ng Congress papuntang Senate? Meron daw po, natanggap nila. So meron po ba kayo, merong variance dyan between the final version, yung GAA, at saka yung Congress version. Once and for all po, masettle. Ang ibig ko lang pong ini-implicate doon, nung inakyat po namin yung budget sa Senate, mataas ang budget ng DepEd, merong PhilHealth budget. Pero pagdating po ng GAA, lahat ng yun, nagkabalik, mas mataas na ang budget ng DPWH at zero yung PhilHealth. So, from Congress, papuntang Senate, lahat po yun, natanggap ni Secretary Amina, andun lahat yung budget na yun. Pero what happened after the GAA? Merong BICAM. Di po pa dumaan sa Senate, then after that yung BICAM. So, marami pong kaya ang pangako sa akin ni Secretary Amina sa pagharap niya sa press sa budget hearing, dadali niya yun at ipipresenta sa amin. Once and for all, masettle po, makita natin yung variance na yung difference between the House Congress version at saka yung final GAA. Yun po yung gusto kong makita.
Doon po sa minutes of the meeting, wala po kayo natatandaan kahit isang pangalan?
Definitely, yung chairman po ng APRO, malamang andun yun. Pero,
si Congressman Saldico.
Ko po, si Chairman Saldico. Sigurado po, nandun sa small committee yun.
And who else? Wala na po?
Hindi ko po matandaan if Stella Kimbo at that time, Congresswoman Stella Kimbo. Pero alam naman po yan. Nasa minutes of the meeting naman po yan at inelect naman po ng Kongreso yan bago dalhin sa Senate. So naman po yan, open to the public naman po yan. Ang alam ko, ang hinahanap ni Congressman Toby Chanco ay yung naging amendments sa small committee, pero yung composition ng small committee, naman po yun, public records naman yun kasi binasa po sa Kongreso, inilink po namin lahat yun.
Okay, going back po doon sa paglilink sa mga politicians, especially the congressman dito po sa mga anomalya sa flood control projects, how do we reconcile or how can you reconcile with the public na yung perception po nila na lagi po kayong kasama, no, yung mga congressman per se? And ano pong klaseng ebidensya should be presented bago po malink ang mga congressman dito sa mga alleged na anomalya?
Kaya nga po even do sa house hearing namin ng TRICOM, siguro po 2 weeks from now, at even sa Senate po, kung merong ebidensya ang taong bayan, lalo na sa congressman, ipresenta na po nila. Hindi po ba? Para once and for all po, mahusgahan din kung talaga may kinalaman yung congressman na to. At kasi 300 plus po kaming congressman, general yung pagkakalagay na kapag merong flood control, may sabit na congress. Tulad po nung sa Bulacan, nakikita ko po, at nasa news naman siguro, ghost project po yun. Hindi po ba? So, hindi ko alam kung alam ng congressman na ghost project yun. Pero papayag ba naman yung isang kinatawan ng bayan na babahayin yung lugar niya at ghost project yung ilalagay. Pero at any rate, sabi ko nga, kung meron pong ebidensya na maglalabas, ipresenta na rin po kagad ngayon para hindi po nahuhusgahan lahat ng congressman. Minsan baka 1, 2 congressman yung may kinalaman po dyan. Ang tingin po ng taong bayan, lahat ng congressman. Tulad po ng statement ni Mayor Magalong na sinasabi niya meron siyang ebidensya. Siguro po panahon na para ilabas na rin yung ebidensya na yun.
Okay, so sa inyo po ba, sa inyong distrito, sa Manila, meron na po ba kayong inuumpisahan na investigasyon tungkol sa mga flood control projects doon?
Hindi po. Ganito po. Ang investigation po ngayon ng Congress sa TRICOM, 2 weeks from now. Pero wala naman po kami
Ba't kayo
problem.
po, yung special concern sa inyong lugar?
Nakikita ko po dito sa Metro Manila naman siguro, kung mapapansin nyo, kahit yung Pangulo po natin, nag-iikot sa buong bansa at hinahanap niya yung ghost project at mga defective. Mukhang hindi naman po napapansin yung Metro Manila. Mukhang wala naman pong ganong proyekto rito sa Metro Manila. Not only in Manila, but sa entire Metro Manila. Ako po ang chairman ng Metro Manila Development ng 19 Congress, nung nakaraang Kongreso. At nung huling bagyo po, inimbestigahan din namin yan sa committee namin. Ang isa nga po defective dyan, yung sunog apong pumping station, unless sa panahon ngayon po, meron ng mga hindi gumagana ulit na pumping station. Pero mukhang in regards to the ghost project and defective project, mukhang hindi naman po applied sa Metro Manila. You have to remember, ma'am, ang daming media rito, ang daming nakatingin sa Metro Manila. So, tingin ko po, kaya ang nakikita lagi, nasa Bulacan, nasa Oriental Mindoro, yung medyo malalayo po lugar.
Okay, so I want to talk about po itong sinasabi din ni Senator Panfilo Lacson about unprogrammed funds for flood control projects na natatap din po yan ng mga iba't ibang probinsya, particularly dun sa kanyang naging report sa may Oriental Mindoro. At sinasabi po niya, hindi po ganun kadali ma-access ang unprogrammed funds, pero nagagawa po yun, apparently sa mga scheme na nabanggit po niya. Can you tell us more about it? Ano po ba itong, paano po ba nagagamit itong unprogrammed funds na ito?
Ano po yan nasa departamento po yan ng, halimbawa, I'm talking of DPWH, meron silang unprogrammed na budget dyan, at usually po yan, natatap yan, siyempre, kapag sa tingin ng DPWH may pagkukulang dito sa lugar na yan, parang kumbaga buffer budget nila yan. Anytime magagamit nila ro sa lugar na yan. Siguro at that time, yung Oriental Mindoro, talagang bahain. So, wala naman sagaan yung budget na yun sa general approval. Kaya yung program nagamit po doon sa lugar na yan, sa Oriental Mindoro. Pero I don't think na may kinalaman yung congressman sa paglilipat ng Oriental. Kasi ano na po yung after dagaan na yan Ano na yan, batas na po yan Nasa, yan yung tinatawag natin na institutional amendment. Hindi na po parochial amendment yan
Yun nga po yung sinasabi ni Senator Panfilo Lacson who could be the powerful funder of that unprogrammed funds, kasi hindi daw po ito madaling ma-access. Kailangan may excess revenue collections pa or new revenue collections bago yun ma-access. Pero nakita po niya doon sa kanilang investigation na na-access at nilagay nga daw doon sa mga programa na yun.
Po yun. It can be, kumbaga, pwedeng galaw yan ng powerful, or pwede rin naman talagang needs ng isang lugar yun at nakita yun ng agency. So yan nga po yung institutional amendment na tinatawag. Yan po yung agency na mismo yung naglagay niyan. Kung medyo tutumihan natin yung pag-iisip natin, pwede sabihin, hindi, merong congressman o may senador o merong executive na nakialam dyan para mailagay dyan. Pwede rin naman talagang nakita ng DPWH yung pangangailangan ng lugar na yun at sila na mismo yung naglagay ron. And that we have to see. Kaya nga po, mag-iimbestiga tayo. Siguro maging basis din natin yung privilege speech ni Senator Lacson. Nasundan na lang natin yun at lalabas naman sa investigasyon niya kung may nakialam doon sa amendments na yun, doon sa unprogrammed budget na yun. Kasi yan naman po lalabas doon. Alam ba, pagdating na October, sometimes in that year, merong loan na lumabas, merong bumaba na interest at sumobra yung pera. So, ganun po yan At hindi naman po malalaman na ng congressman yun. It may be the executive or the department itself. Din po ba?
So what about these contractors? So yung 15 contractors na nilagay po ni Pangulong Bongbong Marcos sa kanyang initial report nung nakaraang linggo. May isa pong contracting firm doon na nalilink po, of course, kay Congressman Zaldico. Have you talked to Congressman Zaldico about this?
Not yet, and I am not close to
Have you seen him after this issues? Since this issue?
Hindi po kami nagkakausap.
Okay, alright. So sa tingin niyo po...
Narinig ko lang po na parang matagal na raw yata siya nag-divest doon sa company na yun. Narinig ko po yun sa sa news din po. Pero kung kami po nagkausap ng personal, di po kami nagkakausap ng personal.
Pero, well, sabi nga po nila, hindi naman tayo pinanganak yesterday. Sabi nila, kahit daw nag-divest na, nakikita pa rin natin or base po dun sa mga experience ay may mga hand pa rin daw po yung ibang mga tao kahit nag-divest na doon sa kanilang kumpanya. But, kung hindi po congressman, kung hindi mga politiko, dapat ang iugnay dito sa mga anomalous projects na ito, sino po dapat ang managot para po sa inyo?
Di private contractor po siguro. Kasi one, ito po, kung meron mang knowledgeable, kung meron mang may expertise dyan sa flood control, it's the DPWH and the contractor. Hindi naman po lahat na kasi ng government contractor marunong dyan sa flood control. So pili lang po yan. Pangalawa, yung DPWH po, sila yung mga expert dyan. Tapos palpak nga yung flood control, kaya nagalit si Pangulo kasi bumabaha. Samantalang bilyon-bilyon perang piso na ang ibinaba sa flood control na yan. So, dapat po managot. Unang-una, ito na lang po. Pag natapos yung flood control, dito lang po sa district ko, yung Sulong-Apog Pumping Station. Pag natapos po yun, wala naman akong expertise to know kung bakit siya defective or hindi. It's still, the contractor and the DPWH pa rin po yung tatanungin namin. Bakit hindi gumagana? Unless, merong independent na magpupunta ron na the likes of Palafox siguro, Architect Palafox, na masasabi niya dapat ganito ginawa niyan. Pero kami pong congressman, aminin ko na po, lalo ako, hindi naman ako engineer, hindi po ba? At kung naging defective man yan, yun po ba kasalanan ng congressman? Hindi po ba kasalanan niya ng if not the DPWH, yung contractor na gumawa niyan? Ako po, hindi ko rin sinisisi lalo na yung DPWH na kasi pinakontrata niya yan Imagine, dito po sa lugar ko, 700 million plus yung budget ng pumping station and yet hindi gumana. Yun po ba kasalanan ng congressman? Hindi po ba dapat managot dyan yung contractor? At kung yung DPWH man may involvement yan, hindi po ba dapat managot? Nakita ko naman po yung paper trail by September 2023, hindi tinanggap ng MMDA yung turnover ng DPWH. So ano po ang liabilities ng congressman doon kung defective yung ginawa na yun? In the first place po, to be candid enough, yung project na po yun, 2018 po yun sinimulan. Ako po ay naupo ng 2019.
Well, at this point, based on the reports, talagang pointing fingers pa lang po yung nalalaman ng ating mga kababayan. We want to get to the bottom of this issue. But for the meantime, maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, Manila 2nd District Representative Rolando Valeriano. Maraming salamat po.
Salamat din po. Good morning po.
Now, don't go away. More matters to discuss after the break. Keep it here on One News. Welcome back. You're still watching Morning Matters here on One News. ICC prosecutor Karim Khan has denied any conflict of interest and rejected calls for his disqualification from the investigation into the Duterte administration's drug war. Khan acknowledged that he previously joined a legal team representing victims who sought an ICC investigation, but said his role was limited to reviewing and presenting submissions, not conducting investigations or interviewing witnesses. He later withdrew from the matter and stressed that his current responsibilities as a prosecutor are entirely different. Khan maintained that his impartiality remains intact and said he will continue to review his position while leading the case unless directed otherwise by the pre-trial chamber. Earlier, former President Rodrigo Duterte's lawmakers sought his removal, alleging he exploited prior knowledge and had an irreconcilable conflict of interest. The United States has sent a formal request to extradite televangelist Apollo Quiboloy. Philippine Ambassador to Washington Jose Manuel Romualdez confirmed the request was transmitted to the Justice Department last June. This comes as the DOJ earlier said it has yet to receive such a request. Quiboloy has been indicted the U.S. for sex and labor trafficking, accused of forcing church members to solicit donations used to fund lavish lifestyles. He was arrested in Davao City last year and has pleaded not guilty to human trafficking charges. One News defense editor Manny Mogato has launched the second edition of his autobiography, It's Me book. It chronicles Mogato's decades-long career in journalism, from his days as a police tabloid reporter until he became an international journalist. The second edition features a new afterword from Defense Secretary Gilbert Teodoro. Mogato earned a Pulitzer Prize in 2018 along with Claire Baldwin and Andrew Marshall for the Reuters investigative pieces on President Rodrigo Duterte's drug war. Now, Smart has partnered with leading streaming services including Signal Play, Viva One, and VMX to expand digital content for its subscribers. Smart Chief Operating Officer Boy Martirez said the collaboration aims to democratize content by making it easily accessible on mobile phones at affordable prices. Signal Play's Gerard Milan noted that users can conveniently access the apps through their either prepaid or postpaid plans. In addition, Smart launched a pluggable eSIM or eSIM that allows users to manage multiple connections on a single device.
Democratizing content has two features: technology and compelling content. We make sure that our subscribers can watch it live, on demand, on a mobile phone, at democratized prices.
It's a very strategic partnership with Smart to allow customers to be able to access itong mga apps natin, particularly itong Signal Play, no? Using their load or charge it to their postpaid bill. So it will really make it easier and more accessible for more Filipinos to access all of the content that we have on Signal Play.
And that wraps up today's episode of Morning Matters. We hope we've given you just the right start to your morning. Let's make the day matter. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro. We are One News, all sides, all the time.